hey there, and thank you for joining. You're listening to Good Morning Sunshine, where we wake up to see that perspective reveals miracles. I'm Callie Carroll, aka Chemo Mom, aka Fit Coach, aka Positivity Junkie, aka your new best friend and fan. Oh, and I am also your host. All right, enough shenanigans. Let's get started. Today, we are really going to get to know one another. We're going to take it back to June 27th. I had been in the hospital for 3 days with my 20-month-old son. My husband took an emergency flight out from a soccer tournament in California, and we had just learned that our baby boy had a tumor in his pituitary, which, by the way, is right behind your nose, between your eyes and your brain, in his skull, and on his hip. And you guys, let me preface this by letting you know that my son rang the bell 18 months later, okay? Because I know some of you guys are already running. I would have ran. Like, I can't even watch a movie where a child is harmed in the least bit. So I'm like, I'm not about to listen to your cancer story, lady, right? So the things they're doing good over here. We can get into that later in more episodes, but we're fine. And I want to keep this part, my current conversation with you guys, a little bit lighter, because when I bring you back to June 27th with me, it is a little bit challenging, to hear from a mother who just found out that her son was diagnosed, not even diagnosed yet, but that he had multiple tumors throughout his body, and we had no idea what would happen to us next. So in this piece, let's just keep smiling, knowing that it's got a happy ending, right? Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take you to the audio of that day. It's June 27th. We've been in the hospital for 3 days, and we weren't quite sure what was going on yet. We just did the MRI, discovered all the tumors in his body, and it had been difficult. And I do need to explain this part. So the tumor in his pituitary caused a disease where he cannot make a hormone that stops you from peeing. Yeah, did you know that you have a hormone that stops your body from getting rid of the water? So it holds the water in your kidneys so that you can use the water for all of the functions of your body. And if your body can't hold water, it just runs through you and you cannot survive. And the test that we had to do in order to discover this was to remove his water, which basically for him, I would say, felt like he was drowning in reverse. Like, it was very excruciating. It was a very trying 3 days because we did this test, which removed water for 12 hours. Of course, they monitored him to make sure that he was okay, but he wasn't okay. Not emotionally, not physically, but he did survive. And then every single time we had to put him under anesthesia, which was multiple times over the course of this next week, we have to pull away water because you go NPO, which is nothing per oral, for every single time you do anesthesia in order for it to be safe. But he was so traumatized, and he was like, that gasping for water, like you had just ran 100 miles in a desert and you just need one drink of ice cold water and it's right in front of you. And somebody's like, nope, you're not getting it. That's what we had been going through. It was just out of this world. Okay. So that's where we're at. That's the state. We're in the unknown. We're in the just completely leaning into trust and faith, but covered in tears and worry and fear and trying to protect my baby boy from this inability to have water. And this is where we start. I'm going to let you guys see how I open up the live video with everybody on that day.
Okay. Say good morning, sunshine. Say sunshine.
Sunshine.
Say sunshine.
Sunshine.
Can you tell them happy,
Happy.
healthy,
Happy.
love,
Love.
safe,
Faith.
good boy,
Boy.
nice,
Nice.
love, champion.
Heaven.
Yay!
So I forgot to mention, obviously, it's not going to be great audio. You guys, we were in a hospital room. There was a lot of distractions there, but I want to point out that in this moment of complete despair within our family, what I chose to focus on and chose to be an example of for our baby was our affirmations. And that's a pretty important statement because the way we speak to ourselves shows up in our lives all the time. And even though we were learning that he had a tumor-filled body and another disease, it was important for us to make sure we were reiterating to him that he was happy and healthy and loved and safe over and over and over again. All right, so let's dive in again and see what I have to say next.
So here we go. Say good morning, sunshines. Yeah, do you want your drink? You want to go with Daddy to get a drink?
Daddy.
Daddy, go get a drink.
Say bye.
When we get your drink, what can I get?
You can't. I would just go distract him. I don't think you should have one for at least an hour or two.
Yeah, let's go.
Okay, so here we are at the hospital.
I can't even describe the emotions that hearing that brings up. His little body asking for a drink, and we had to deny him again because he was going in for another test. And he's so precious, you guys. He was so cute. I know we're keeping it light in this section, Cal, but that's where we were there. We just would distract him, and walk in circles, just trying to do anything we could to make him forget about water for just a second. So my hubby, John Carroll, took Whit and John out to distract him, and I started off by saying thank you.
First thing that I wanted to share, good morning to all of you guys, is obviously a huge gratitude for all of the prayers that you guys have been sending, all of the love, all of the light.
This part was important to me because saying thank you and expressing gratitude for the people who are supporting you all the time, let alone, in this time of turmoil, I feel is so integral. Also, I can't believe I was still holding my shit together at this point. Then I dive into why I choose to share.
Number 2, why am I sharing? Why am I sharing my journey? Why would you put anything on social media? And I have a couple different reasons. Number 1, you guys, what I've learned is that anything we go through in life that challenges us, we have the ability to support others in their journey. Anything that you go through, and all of us go through different levels of shit, different levels of pain, turmoil, tragedy, and when we step up and we're willing to share with other people, we're able to help them in their situation. So I was like, as I went in here, I thought about it. Like, am I just going to go silent, radio silent for however long, or am I going to share? And I thought, you know what, I'm going to share, because what if I can help somebody? What if my story can help someone? And in it, I found it so much more than that. I found that I feel human when I share. It brings me some sort of normalcy. I'm not going to cry too much on this, but I might cry a lot on it. I didn't think I was going to cry at all because I've cried so much already. But it makes me feel connected. It makes me feel like I'm still in my routine. And it's part of what I do. I share authentically my life with you guys for how long? You guys have seen the bad times. You've seen me in total turmoil. You've seen me after my concussion when I didn't have any sort of mindset. You've seen 2 deliveries of my babies. I've been so authentic with you guys in my journey, and I wanted to continue to do that. So when people say, why are you sharing, or why would you use social media? If you don't want to watch my shit, don't watch my shit. I don't care. I just think that it's important.
Just so you guys know, real time now, this has been a recurring theme of my journey. There are many people that do not think you should be vocal about what goes on in your life. There are other people that think you should only be vocal about the good. And why would you ever share your despair? And I go on here to talk about receiving the prayers and love from everyone as another one of the reasons why I share. And also to let people know that when we fully express ourselves and show our true authentic selves, we get to know one another on a deeper level. And I was never looking for pity. I was looking for prayers. I wasn't trying to put myself in a space of bringing them into negative energy. Instead, I was looking for people who were in a position to lift our family up, because there are different seasons of our lives where we are on the giving end, and there are different seasons in our lives when we are on the receiving end. And learning to acknowledge that and give when you can give and ask to receive when you need to receive is a huge lesson. Okay, so let's see where I go next with this.
The next piece is just a little catch up and a recap to let you guys know what's going on. You notice he's drinking and peeing all the time. He spiked a fever, 103.7. We're like, this is odd. We go into the doctors. Everything's normal. All of his lab work's normal. Everything looks good. I don't know if it's a potty training technique. We don't really know. Our doctor was apprehensive for us to go to Mexico, but said we should We go to Mexico. My big's got to have, I'm so blessed that we got to go there, you guys. I know it was challenging for us, but they got to have this experience, this like, I don't want to say like this last experience before all this stuff, but like they got to have like just a really, really, really fun time. When we came home and with more investigation, we found out it could be something called diabetes insipidus. They brought us into endocrinology here at Children's Hospital to do this test called a water deprivation test. It was fucking miserable. It was horrible. He's got his little IV in, they're drawing blood, we're seeing where his sodium levels are because they're trying to do all these different tests to see what we need to do next. And it's overnight too, so we don't sleep. He feels like he's drowning in reverse. It was a fucking shitty ass fucking night. And I can cuss all I want. It was horrible. So the next day, we got through the process and we find out that it is diabetes insipidus. So his body isn't producing this hormone. ADH is adrenal dehydration hormone. It tells you to stop peeing. He's not getting the message. His pee doesn't know to stop peeing. So he's just peeing all the time. His little genius body is keeping himself safe by drinking, so he doesn't go into some sort of state of dehydration that's really dangerous for his body.
So I'm about to start talking about when he's in his MRI and addressing the skill sets that have served me that I've been working on for the past decade. And I wanted to point this out because when we choose to work on ourselves and work on different skill sets and tools, it is absolutely extraordinary how they can show up for us later in life. Let's listen.
So they schedule an MRI. And at this point, like our worst part is just watching my kid drown in reverse. Like I just cannot handle that because he's in pain. I just don't want him in pain. Okay, go to the MRI. So we go in, I have to put my baby under sedation for the first time. That's not cool. Nobody wants that. He did amazing. He goes into his MRI. We go out. I did like a hardcore meditation and connection with God during this time. And I just visualized, you guys, light going into his brain. So I'm in this deep visualization while he's going through his MRI. And I feel connected, you guys. I tell you this because I am so grateful for these last 3 years and the skill sets that I've been learning and creating and just practicing through I Am Journey, where I didn't even know how to meditate before. If you follow me for a long time, you're like, Kelly, you can't even fucking sit still. You're gonna meditate? I mean, and now that life is slapping something really big at me, I have some skill sets that can help it not be so miserable. They can assist me to just be a little bit better in the process. And I'm so thankful for that.
Okay, pause, because this is what it's all about. This is really like it encapsulates what I'm going for here, is to be able to provide people with skill sets and tools that will help them sometimes just make it not so miserable. Because life happens in all directions. There is an ebb and flow to everything that we experience. And during those times that are really challenging, how are we going to show up? Of course, we want to show up wonderfully when they're going well, but how do we show up when they're not going well? And going back and listening to this just touches me so deeply to know that even when I was lost in complete despair, I relied on the tools that we're going to talk about a lot in this podcast. Okay, let's see what's next.
After the MRI, we come back up to the room and we walk in and there's multiple people there. Our doctor introduces himself again. We've met him. And then we get the, hello, I'm the oncologist.
There are moments that define our lives. And some of them, just bring back this extraordinary smile across our face, these aha, beautiful mountain climbing moments. And then there are moments that define our lives that we could have never guessed would occur, that we would never have chosen. But the fact is, they're there and they are life-changing. They are life-altering. So at this point, when we found out that we had an oncologist, let alone many other things I'm about to talk about, it was this heart-breaking, soul-shaking moment where we just did our best to keep it together, honestly.
So, now what? I walked into the hospital and it was like, my heart was like, look at all these mama bears and all these babies that are sick. So as I'm walking in, I'm just sending light to every kid we pass. I'm like, light to all of these little babies. And you walk in as one of the moms that's like feeling those emotions for the families that are in and out of the hospital, the families that are there for a reason more than a dehydration test. And then, you know, a day later, I'm the families. We have an oncologist, we have a neurologist, we have a endometriosis and endocrinologist. I call it the wrong thing every single time. We have a full, huge ass team of doctors.
These are some defining moments, and it's tempting to go into the why me mode. It's tempting to go into the blame game. It's tempting to wallow up and just bury yourself and not just play into the Eeyore syndrome, but to be the captain of all of the Eeyores. When you find out your baby has cancer, it is tempting, but that wasn't an option for me. And I'm so thankful that I had been prepping, that God had been prepping me with these different skill sets for the last decade, that I honestly don't even remember that being something that crossed my mind. I don't remember sitting in the waiting room thinking, why us? Why him? You know, I do remember saying, God, help me. I do remember saying, what next? I do remember acknowledging he's yours and I give thanks for every moment we've had. But I don't remember ever trying to place myself as the victim, because in victimization, we let go of our power. And even though this feels like a pretty powerless situation, I didn't want to accept that. I chose to find power where power could be found, which is what I started to do next over the next week, and the practices that I started to practice. So let's see what those were.
So all we can do is pray and visualize the light and visualize his little bones healing. And the other thing that I've been doing is I've been finding my anchor point in the future. Like I see Witten John, and he is a 35-year-old man, and he's a doctor now. And this has led him to this passion where he's helping other children who have gone through something. And I see his like bright light. And then I've had other visions of seeing him being this like really influential, powerful motivator. I want to bring bright light. I want to bring love, and I want to bring positive vibrations to our space so we can keep bringing that to my baby. That doesn't mean that I'm not crying. Obviously, that doesn't mean that I'm not having breakdowns. That doesn't mean that I'm not sad. I have totally my moments, and when I feel it, I release and I cry. So I'll be walking around, I'm smiling, happy one minute, and the next I've just got like tears everywhere, and then I snap right back into the other piece. That's where I'm at. I believe God has a plan. We're all God's angels. He is the greatest physician. Our lives are in his hand. My life this moment is in his hand. Your life is in his hand this moment. We're facing a medical situation. Is it scary? Fuck yes, it's scary. We have no idea what's going on. It is scary. But when he wants to take us, he will take us. However he wants to take us. And I don't think Witten John is going to be, it's not taken because we're never taken, right? We're always together. We're always together. But I'm going to just say it out loud because I have to keep reminding myself we are all his. And that's where we're at.
I want to take a minute to remind you guys, this was all from one live Facebook recording. I had wanted to keep in touch with the people who had been following our story, who had been helping me advocate, who had been recipients of all of the lessons I had been teaching for the last 5 years. This was not anything that was scripted or planned. It was just what was coming from the depths of my soul and my heart in one of my darkest times. This is a recording from one of the darkest times in my life. And I chose to end it, and I didn't know I was going to do this, but in a prayer. So let's listen.
Trust in God, you guys. He's good. He's great. You gotta let go and let God. Keep us in your prayers. We're gonna pray together. I don't care who you believe in. We're gonna do this. Dear God, thank you for this moment. Thank you for this exact moment. Thank you for Witten John's thirst that he gets to quench this morning. Thank you for our doctors. Thank you for the medicine. Thank you for our accommodations. Thank you for our team of doctors. Thank you for our new nurse and our nurse last night. Thank you for water. Thank you for his DI that brought us to the hospital so you could find what you need to fix. Thank you for our strength. Thank you for our love. Thank you for our positivity. Thank you for the skills that I've learned over the last few years of being able to handle and cope this as best as I can. Thank you for my community and for everyone watching and for all of you out there. And thank you for all of the light and love being poured in. Thank you for today that we get to go and just party with our friends and just be happy and just love and play in the grass and throw the football. And thank you that we get to have tests tomorrow. And I pray, Lord, that the tests come back clean and that it's something that is treatable and curable and something that his little body is going to just not thrive from or survive from, but thrive from and step into the light of his life, that he's going to be incredible. But Lord, I believe in you, and I know that you have everything in all of our interests in all of us, and you hold us in your hands. God, I love you so much. Thank you, God. I love you guys. Amen. I'll update you later. Bye.
So there you have it. If you didn't get to know me through that, I don't know what would do it, but it feels good to take you guys into one of the deepest and darkest moments of my life and just share with you how I showed up on all authentic levels, because this represents nothing but my pure authenticity. And my hopes of sharing this with you is to give you an example of how we can do life differently, of how we can use different tools, resources, practices to not just survive moments, but to thrive through moments, and also to acknowledge that it's not all sunshine and rainbows, which at one point I thought it was. I did. And it's not, but that doesn't mean that it's not beautiful. And that's why I talk about sharing with you guys the good, the bad, the ugly, and the beauty all around it. And I don't think that it could be done in any better way than bringing you back to June 27th, the day my son revealed the tumors and all of the things going on in his little body. And I'm excited throughout this podcast to get to share with you more about these tools, more about our life and our journey, and about parenting and perspective, and how when we choose to look at things differently, things become different instantly. It doesn't take a ton of time and a ton of practice. It just takes a different perspective. You guys, thank you so much for joining me today and riding through that emotional roller coaster. I appreciate every one of you, and I am sending you light and love. Talk to you next time. Well, thanks for joining, friends. Don't forget to subscribe and go ahead and share. That's how we impact more lives, you know? If you want some short snippets and other fun, follow me at Callie Carroll, pretty much on everything. See you on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, wherever you're at. I love you guys, and we'll see you next time.